Back. So we're talking about the Feast of Trumpets, and we're in Leviticus 23:23. And you have spoken to Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Yasharel, saying, In the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of shofars, a holy assembly. Ye shall do no servile work, again, that is work for money, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah. This is talking about the Feast of Trumpets, and again, the day itself is holy. Keeping the feast is holy, but we do no sacrifices because Jesus fulfilled that part of the law. He fulfilled the priesthood. We have no priesthood, so we have no need for sacrifice because Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moses, saying, Also on the 10th day of the 7th month of Yom Kippur, it shall be a holy assembly unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls. This is talking about Day of Atonement. And offer an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah. Now, I want to stop right here and talk about this. Most widely throughout the world, the Day of Atonement is celebrated by fasting. And if you read right here, it says, You are to afflict your souls. And most the world takes that as in, well, I like eating, so I won't eat because that afflicts my souls. But if that's not the thing you enjoy the most, you're not afflicting your soul. The Bible once, never, ever, 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 in any language, did it ever say you're supposed to fast. Now, is fasting good? Yes. Why? Because it brings your flesh under subjection. You're forcing your body to go without one of the few things it actually needs to live. So being able to resist and deny your flesh, one of the few things that actually needs to exist, is teaching you how to bring yourself under subjection and to deny yourself other things. If you can deny yourself the stuff that needs to exist, you can learn to deny yourself of the worldly lust and desires that make you abominable and ungodly and unrighteous. It teaches you how to deny yourself the sinful things of this world. But in this one condition, in this one instance, says to afflict your souls, but it never says how. So you afflict your soul simply by going without the one thing that you enjoy most. A lot of people, it ain't food they enjoy most. They need it to live, but they don't need it, but that's not what they love the most. For most people, it's that phone that you're watching me on right now. That's what most people love the most. I know people in my house, if they go for more than 2 minutes without it in their hand, they start freaking out. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? Oh my God, I can't find my phone. Where's my phone? Ah! Phones are demonic. Technology is demonic because it takes your focus off of God. When you literally go crazy because you don't have your phone, you can't check your TikTok or your Instagram or your Facebook or your MySpace or Twitter, it's demonic. Is the information good? Yes, you can Google anything, but the problem is half the stuff that Google tells you is wrong. And you can argue with me with that if you want, but Google says men can be pregnant, so I wouldn't trust everything you get on Google. But some of the information is good. It is true. I'll give you that. A lot of it's garbage and false and inaccurate. But technology is demonic. It's got a spirit attached to it. People can't go without their phones for more than a few seconds. I mean, grown men will literally lose their job because they can't get off of their PlayStation or their Xbox or their computer because they won't stop playing games because they're possessed. Because they just have to be on it, and without it, they start going through withdrawals. It's sickening. So you afflict your soul by going without the one thing that you don't want to go without. And every person knows what that is for themselves. Okay. And ye shall do no work in the same day. Now, notice this. This says work. The other one said servile work. So the other ones, you couldn't do any work for money. This one, you can't do any work at all. Pay attention to the detail in the words. Now, when you're reading the King James Bible or the New Living Translation or whatever, they've changed that. They took out the servile work. So you need to get a concordance so you can look up the words so you know exactly. Now, that being said, I try not to do any work whatsoever on the case that there may have been a mistranslation. So if you just don't want to do any work, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with not doing any work whatsoever. But, no servile work, which means it's safe to go outside and do something in your yard or around your house. But me personally, I try not to do anything. But this one says no. The other ones were saying no servile work. This one says no work whatsoever at all in any shape, form, or fashion. Don't even go outside, mow your grass, weed eat, trim your trees, or pick up sticks. Just sit down and rest and afflict your souls. A lot of you, yard work, going without working in your yard would be afflicting your soul because it drives you nuts just to sit still. For it is Yom Kippur to make an atonement for you before Yahuwah Elohim. Now again, Jesus died for our sins, but we're still supposed to afflict our souls. And that is a representation. Afflicting our souls is a representation of what Jesus did for us. It's a way to take part in his suffering. Not that anything we could do to ourselves would even come close to what he went through for us. But it's metaphorical, I guess. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. And whatsoever soul it be that does any work in that day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people. Ye shall do no manner of work, none whatsoever, not even a little bit. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, in all your dwellings it shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls. In the 9th day of the month at evening, from evening unto evening, shall you celebrate your Sabbath. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of the 7th month shall be the feast of Sukkot. For 7 days unto Yahuwah. On the first day ye shall be a holy assembly, ye shall do no servile work therein. In the 7 days ye shall offer offerings made by fire unto Yahuwah. Now again, we don't do the sacrificing. It is the solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. These are the feasts of Yahuwah, which ye shall proclaim to be holy assemblies. Also, in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto Yahuwah 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. Again, we don't have to keep these because these are Jewish holidays. But because we're grafted into the bloodline of Jesus, of the Jewish people, we get to. It should be a joy unto us. Because even before, when we read, it says, no Gentile living within your gates shall partake of these feasts unless he's been circumcised. So, they had, they were a nomadic people, but when they had Gentiles living and dwelling with them, as they did, those Gentiles were not allowed to take part of the feasts. But if they wanted to, then they had to get circumcision. Now, what was circumcision? It was an outward declaration that you accepted God as your God and you were going to serve him and obey his commandments. So when you made that declaration, then you were allowed to keep the feast. Again, being allowed to keep the feast. Not having to, but allowed to. It's something where we get to do. It's a perk. So now, again, circumcision is no longer what makes us part of God's people or not. Now, Jesus is what makes us part of God's people. Now, with Jesus come to play, it's no longer circumcision of the physical body, it's circumcision of your spiritual body, of your heart. It's a circumcision of faith and belief and dedication and a lifestyle. So when we accept Jesus Christ, that is our declaration that we will serve God and obey Him. And then we get to keep the feast. So, now, where were we? And ye shall rejoice before Yahuwah 7 days, and ye shall keep the feast. Okay, my bad, I already read that. So now we are on Leviticus 24, going to Leviticus 24:15. And you shall speak unto the children of Israel, saying, whosoever curses his Elohim shall bear his sin. And he that blasphemes the name of Yahuwah, he shall surely be put to death. And all the assembly shall certainly stone him, as well as the stranger as he that is born in the land. When he blasphemes the name of God, he shall be put to death. Taking the Lord's name in vain is so serious to God that it's worthy of death. And we do it so often. It is ritual. We don't even know we do it with very little care. Because we don't keep the commandments. We don't abide by His word. Everything's okay. Live how you want. God accepts you how you are. He'll forgive you and you can go into heaven. That's not how it works. Taking the Lord's name in vain is serious. Now here. This is what I find interesting. We are so quick when something goes wrong to blame God and take His name in vain. Not once do we ever stop to think, maybe it's not God, maybe it's the devil. We are so quick to take God's name in vain, but we never even stop to think that maybe we should curse the devil and not God. Now, here's the other thing. We have taught our children, we have taught ourselves, we have taught that our culture believes that taking the Lord's name in vain is simply by saying GD. And you know what I mean, don't be stupid. Okay? We have all taught ourselves, taught an entire multiple generations, that taking the Lord's name is simply GD, and that is the only way you can take the Lord's name in vain, and that is false. And let me tell you why. You take the Lord's name in vain by saying something, you take the Lord's name in vain by saying His name without respect. You should not say the word God in any manner that is not respectful. It is a name to be feared. It is a name that you are supposed to tremble on the sound of hearing. It is a name that you are supposed to respect and revere above all else. In no way are you ever supposed to say the name God, Elohim, Yahuwah, Jehovah, whatever. However you say His name, you were never, ever supposed to say it in any disrespectful manner. Saying GD is, now you can say that disrespectfully. And it be blaspheming His name and taking His name in vain. So you can say GD is disrespectful, but when you say GD, you are asking God to damn something to eternal hell. When you say GD, you are asking God to curse that thing, that person, that animal, whatever that made you mad enough to say GD. You are asking God to curse something to eternal damnation and torment. Saying God's name in any way that is not reverence or respectful is taking His name in vain. Next time you get mad or anything, instead of blaming God and cursing God, why don't you try to curse Satan? Why don't you try to blame Satan, the devil, who probably did it anyway? Now, bad luck falls on the just as well and the unjust, and stubbing your toe or hitting your hand with a hammer isn't either one of them. It's you being stupid because you didn't pay attention. You don't even have the right to blame God. None of us do. Not after the things we've done. You think you have the right to curse God? Who are you? Who am I? Who are any of us? When you mention God's name, it better be in a respectful manner, because He don't tolerate it. And he that kills any man shall surely be put to death. He that kills a beast shall make it good, beast for beast. And if a man cause a blemish in his neighbor, as he has done, so shall it be done to him. Breach for breach, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. As he has caused a blemish in a man, so shall it be done to him again. And he that kills a beast, he shall restore it, and he that kills a man, he shall be put to death. Ye shall have one manner of law, as well for the stranger as for your own country, for I am Yahuwah. Now, Jesus says, your fathers say eye for eye, tooth for tooth, but he who hates a man has killed him in his heart. This is talking about a fair and just law. This is talking about a law for every man, every person, every religion, every race, every creed, that is just and fair with no bias. Because God knew the man's heart is black and is selfish and would take bribes and anything else. This way, justice is kept fair. Plain and simple. Going to Leviticus 25. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto Yahuwah. 6 years you shall sow your field, and 6 years you shall prune your vineyard, and gather in the fruit thereof. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land, a Sabbath for Yahuwah. You shall neither sow your field nor prune your vineyard. That which grows of its own accord of your harvest of your harvest you shall not reap, neither gather the grapes of your vineyard. For it is a year of rest unto the land. And the Sabbath of the land shall be food for you and for your servant, and for your maid, and for your hired servant, and for your stranger that sojourns with you, and for your cattle, and for the beasts that are in your land. Shall all the increase thereof be meat. And you shall number 7 Sabbaths of years unto you. 7 times 7. Okay, wait. Okay, so talking about the land rest. It's saying you shall work your land for 6 years. On the 7th year, you shall do no work, you shall not reap anything. And if you obey this law, if you reap your crop for 6 years and then do not reap it on the 7th, on that 6th year I shall give you the increase for 3 years. So that way you have more than enough food that you need to carry you through that year you do not gather your crop. And there's a reason why God did this. When you grow, and any farmer will know this, when you grow your field, your fruit trees, your crops, whatever you're growing, that plant is pulling nutrients out of the soil. That plant needs nutrients to produce the food. So it's pulling the nutrients out of the soil. And any farmer will tell you this. You can only grow food on a piece of land for so long before that land is barren, before all the nutrients out of that ground have been sucked dry, and then those trees will stop producing and eventually die. So this is where the 7-year land rest comes into play. 6 years you gather your food. On the 7th, now again, In 1 year, in the space of a year, you can gather crops every, depending on what you grow, obviously, you can gather 2 to 3 times a year off of one field. You 2 to 3 times a year you can harvest food, depending on what you grow. So you, for one whole year, you don't gather anything. You let the tree produce food, and then you let that food fall back to the ground. And it'll do that, like I said, 2 times a year, sometimes 3, depending on what it is. And the reason for this is when that food falls from the tree, lands on the ground, and then decays, those nutrients go back into the soil. You are re-fertilizing the field with its own nutrients and then adding some to it. So that is the point of the 7-year land rest. You're putting nutrients back into the field so that field will not go barren, so that field will continue to grow. And here's the thing. The children of Israel didn't do this. They disobeyed God on that law. They decided they were not going to do it. And because of that, God kicked them out and exiled them from the land. The prophecy in Jeremiah 25:9 through 13, the exile that is prophesied because of the 7-year land rest. God exiled them for every year that they did not give the land its Sabbath, its rest. For every year they disobeyed God and did not give the land its rest, God exiled them from the land. And I think it was like 800, no, I forget, you just read Jeremiah, it'll tell you exactly how many years they were exiled. But they were exiled for every year they disobeyed God and did not give the land its rest. That is how serious it is, because Israel is God's land. It is the land He chose out of the whole world that He created to be His. And it is to be taken care of. And let me tell you something, as a man, I bust my butt all week long to have nice things. And when I come home and find the house dirty, trash in the yard, footprints all over the place, clothes all over the place, when I come home and find the things that I break my back for not being taken care of, it pisses me off, as it does any man. We break our backs to provide a home, a property, nice things for our family. When our family doesn't take care of it, it feels like to us that they're spitting in our face. And it angers us. So if your man's coming home angry every day, maybe you should check to make sure you're taking care of the things he's trying to provide for you. Anyway, the point of example is that we as men get mad when we come home and see the things that we work for every single day not being taken care of. Imagine how mad and how much it angers God to see the things that He created not being taken care of. Imagine how much it angered God to see the land that He chose to be His, to set aside for the people He chose to be His, and for them not to take care of that land after everything He did for them. Imagine how much that angered Him. And you shall number 7 Sabbaths of a year unto you, 7 times 7 years, and the space of the 7 Sabbaths of a year shall be unto you 49 years. Then shall you cause the shofar of the Jubilee to sound. So every 49 years, the 50th year is the Jubilee. To sound on the 10th day of the 7th month in Yom Kippur shall ye make the shofar sound throughout all your land. And ye shall hallow the 15th year, and you shall hallow the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee unto you. And ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family. A jubilee shall that 50th year be unto you. You shall not sow, neither reap that which grows of itself in it, nor gather the grapes in it of your vineyard undressed. For it is a jubilee, it shall be holy unto you. You shall eat the increase thereof out of the field. In the year of the Jubilee ye shall return every man unto his possession. Let me see what time it is. 25, okay. So in the Jubilee year, everything you bought. So it was like a barter system. So you buy a slave. When the Jubilee year, you release that slave and set him free. You borrow something from your neighbor on the Jubilee year, you return it. You're basically renting for a 50-year period. And at the end of the 50 years, it goes back to the original owner. To break it down in simple layman's terms. Okay. For it is a Jubilee, it shall be holy unto you. Ye shall eat. Okay. And if you sell aught unto your neighbor, or buy aught of your neighbor's hand, ye shall not oppress one another. According to the number of years after the Jubilee you shall buy of your neighbor, and according unto the number of years of the fruits he shall sell unto you. According to the multitude of years you shall increase the price thereof, and according to the fewness of years you shall diminish the price thereof. So in other words, when you sell something, you sell it, the price that you're selling it depends on how close or far away from the Jubilee year you are. If you are 48 years away from the Jubilee, then you can sell it for full price. If you're only 5 years away from the Jubilee, then you can't sell it full price because that's unfair. How do you expect him to pay the price to rent something for 50 years when he's going to have to give it back in 5? So whether how close or far away it was from the Jubilee would depend on the price that you're selling it for. And you will read on. It also is talking about slaves. You purchase a slave, at the end of 50 years, he goes free. If he has a family, that family goes with him. Everything is released and set free on the Jubilee. It is basically their Independence Day that happens every 50 years. It is a way for a man's possession to stay his. You know what the saying, kind of man without land? So hard times fall on everybody. So hard times come, you sell your land to your neighbor. At the end of the 50 years, he gives it back to you, so that way you keep your inheritance. So that way everybody's inheritance, when they came in to the promised land, and Joshua divided up all the land between all the tribes, that land was to stay in that tribe's bloodline. So when that person had to sell it, at the end of the 50 years, that land went back to that person, so that way that land could stay in that bloodline and be an inheritance for the children's in that bloodline. Wherefore ye shall do my statutes and guard my judgments and do them, and ye shall dwell in the land in safety. And the land shall yield her fruit, and ye shall eat your fill, and dwell therein in safety. And if ye shall say, what shall we eat the 7th year? Behold, we shall not sow nor gather our increase, then I will command the blessing upon you in the 6th year, and it shall bring forth the fruit for 3 years. And ye shall sow the 8th year, and eat of old fruit until the 9th year. Until her fruits come in, ye shall eat of the old store. The land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine. For ye are strangers and sojourners with me, and in all the land of your possession ye shall grant a redemption for the land. It's called redeeming. So whenever you get something back in the Jubilee year, it's called redeeming. If your brother be waxed poor, and has sold away some of his possessions, and if any of his kin come to redeem it, then shall he redeem that which his brother sold. So I sell you something, right? But I can't afford to buy it back. My brother, he can come buy it back for me. That is redemption. He's redeeming it back to me. So that way it stays in the bloodline, it stays in the heritage. And if the man have none to redeem it, and himself be able to redeem it, then let him count the years of the sale thereof, and restore the overplus unto the man to whom he sold it, that he may return unto his possession. But if he be not able to restore it to him, then that which was sold shall remain in the hand of him that has bought it until the year of Jubilee. So now once the year of Jubilee happens, it goes back to me whether I can. So I sell you something. I can't afford to buy it back. My brother, he buys it back for me. That's redeeming it for me. Now, if I have nobody to redeem it for me, if I have nobody left in my family to buy it back for me, and I can't afford it, at the end of the 50 years, it comes back to me anyway. And in the Jubilee it shall go out, and he shall return unto his possession. And if a man sell a dwelling house in a walled city, then he may redeem it within a whole year after it is sold. Within a full year may he redeem it. And if it be not redeemed within the space of a full year, then the house that is in the walled city shall be established forever to him that bought it throughout his generations. It shall not go out in the Jubilee. Now that's talking about a house being bought in a walled city. I'm dizzy all of a sudden. But the house of the villages which have no wall around it, them shall be counted as the fields of the country. They may be redeemed, and they shall go out into the Jubilee. Notwithstanding the cities of the Levites, and the house and the cities of their possession, may the Levi redeem at any time. And if a man purchase of the Levi, then the house that was sold, and the city of his possession shall go out in the year of the Jubilee. For the houses of the cities of the Levites are their possession among the children of Israel. But the field of the suburbs of their cities may not be sold, for it is their possession forever. And if your brother be waxed poor, and fallen in decay with you, then you shall relieve him. Yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with you. Take no money from him, or increase, but fear your God, that your brother may live with you. You shall not give him your money with interest, nor lend him your victuals for increase. I am Yahuwah your God, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, to give you the land of Canaan to be your God. So, your Jewish brother, or your brother, your family. If your family has become poor and homeless, you're to let him live with you. Now, you're not, your brother lives with you, you loan him some money, but you don't loan it to him with interest. You loan it to him, and then he's to pay you that exact amount back. You give him things. You give him a clothes so he can have clothes to wear. You give him a car so he can have a car to drive. You're not going to give that to him and charge him interest. You're going to give that to him, and then he'll repay you exactly that much whenever he gets back on his feet. You're supposed to help your brother out without making a profit off of him. And if your brother works for you, you take him in, you're like, hey, I'm going to give you this, this, and this, but you're going to work for me for free. No. You're not supposed to treat your brother like a slave. You're supposed to treat your brother like a brother. So if he does work for you, you pay him because he's poor, because he needs help, because he's on the down and out and homeless, and he can't even find a job. He don't have clothes. He don't have so he works for you, and you pay him. So that way, the money you're paying him, he's doing labor for the money, and he's getting on his feet. You shall not give him your money. Okay, I read that. And if your brother that dwells by you be waxen poor and sold unto you, you shall not compel him to serve as a bondservant. So if you buy your fellow brother, this is talking about slavery, which there's still slavery going, but anyway, you're not supposed to treat your brother like a slave. You're supposed to pay him for his work. But as a hired servant and as a sojourner he shall be with you, and he shall serve you until the year of the Jubilee, and then shall he depart from you. So at the end of the 50 years, you set your brother free, and his children with him, and he shall return unto his own family, and to his possession of his fathers shall he return. For they are my servants which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as slaves you shall not rule over them with rigor, but shall fear your God. The fear of God is supposed to be in you to the point that you live righteously and obey his commandments. Both your bondmen and your bondsmaid which you shall have shall be, so your slaves you shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Them shall you buy as bondmen and bondmaids. Moreover, all the children of strangers that do sojourn among. So if you're going to have a slave, you weren't going to make a slave out of your brother. You were going to make a slave out of the Gentiles that lived with you that did not dedicate themselves to you. In other words, don't make a slave out of your brother. Make a slave out of somebody else, which they begot in your land, and they shall be your possession. And ye shall take them as inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. They shall be your bond forever. But over your brethren, the children of Israel, ye shall not rule over one another with rigor. Again, make a slave out of the strangers, not out of your brothers. And if they saw it, but even then, you weren't supposed to beat them and be mean and cruel to them. You were supposed to treat your slaves with respect, with clothes and food and meet their needs. You weren't supposed to treat them like the Egyptians treated you. God did not permit that. You were supposed to be fair and just and kind unto them. And if a sojourner or a stranger wax rich by you, see, even the strangers that they were going to make slaves out of, even if the stranger that is with you became rich, so you treated the strangers that were with you with fairness and kindness and love and truth and just, like you treated the rest of yourselves. They would become rich. And if a stranger wax rich by you, and your brother that dwells by him wax poor, and sell himself unto the stranger, or to the stock of the stranger's family, after that he is sold, he may be redeemed again. Again, your kinsman can come and basically pay for your release. One of his brother may redeem him. Either his uncle or his uncle's son may redeem him, or any that is nigh of kin unto him, or his family may redeem him. Or if he be able, he may redeem himself. And he shall reckon with him that bought him from the year that was sold unto him for the year of the Jubilee. So when you bought your freedom, or someone bought your freedom for you, it had to be the distance, basically how much you were going to make for him a year, and then times that however many years through the Jubilee. And the price of his sale shall be according unto the number of years, according to the time of a hired servant shall it be with him. If there be yet many years behind, according unto him shall give again the price of his redemption out of the money that he was bought for. And if there remain but a few years unto the Jubilee, then shall count with him according to unto the year shall be given him again the price of his redemption. And as a yearly hired servant shall be with him. And the others shall not rule over with rigor over him in your sight. In other words, you shouldn't tolerate anybody to mistreat your brethren. And if he be not redeemed in the years, then he shall go free in the year of Jubilee, both he and his children with him. For unto me the children of Israel are servants. They are my servant, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt, and I am their God. So, that's where we're going to end it. I hope everybody got some out of this. I hope it explained some things to you. These laws are here for us to live by, to be a part of us, to exist within us. They live in us just as much as Jesus Christ lives within us. They are the boundaries by which we are supposed to live our life. But anyway, Shabbat Shalom. Hope everybody has a good week. Catch you next time.